What is going on, YouTube fam? This is Middle Class Tactics, and today what I'd like to talk about is my 3-gun setup. Now, a little bit of intro. About a year ago, I got invited out to our local gun club to do a 3-gun, and I had an AR-15, I had a pistol, I did not have a semi-automatic shotgun, so I brought my Mossberg pump. And needless to say, I fell in love with the 3-gun lifestyle of how these guys train, what it means to be a competition shooter. So for the past year, I've really tried to step up my setup as much as I can, financially speaking. For me, it's not really a cheap hobby, but it is a good way to train. I try to go out to the range as often as I can, and I find that with competition shooting, it is the best way to have ammo that I'm already going to be shooting, that I'm already going to be training with, to add a little bit of stress to that, to add a little bit of accelerated heart rate and pressure, different people watching you. So for me, that helps me make the best use of my ammo that I've already purchased, that I'm already going to be shooting and training with. Why not do it in a competition standpoint? Now, by no means am I an expert at any of this, but that doesn't deter me from getting into it. It shouldn't deter the average Joe, the middle class guy, from going out and shooting these competitions. Everybody that I've met there is super friendly, super helpful, and it's a great activity. It's great to get outdoors and go shooting. What's better than that? So without further ado, I'll get into my setup. We're going to start with pistol first. So this is a Glock 34 Gen 5 MOS. With all of these guns, with the setup that I have, I kind of try to have 2 jobs for 1 gun. You'll notice that none of my stuff is truly competition standard setup. Which means that I have, it's competition, I can use it in competition, but it also serves its purpose for a different scenario if I need to use it with a world without rule of law type scenario, or whatever you may be dealing with. I feel that my guns can adequately deal with that as well, more in a battle stance. Now, this is my Glock 34 Gen 5 MOS, and what I've equipped it with is a Holosun 509T, and then this has the nightstick, and that is the 850 XLS. And this handgun is done me really well. It's got suppressor height sights and the plate. So the sights, the iron sights co-witness with the red dot. I found that having a little bit longer of a sight radius for the competitions helps. We've taken shots out to 75 yards with pistol, so having the red dot and having that longer sight radius really helps me acquire those targets faster. With this, it's pretty standard. The only thing that I replaced on it is the connector and the trigger shoe on here to make it a little bit more high speed, but still keep that stock integrity, the OEM integrity of a Glock. So this pistol's done me real well. I'm in the open division, which means that all my guns can have whatever equipment they want. So red dots, extended magazines, you name it, in open you can have it. I find that works for me best, because in real life, in a real life scenario where, God forbid, I'm going to be using my firearms, I'm going to be using every advantage to my play that I have. Every tool in the toolbox is coming out. So sights, flashlights, all of that kind of stuff I'm going to be using in a scenario where guns are involved. That's why I train with a flashlight on my pistol for 3-gun. A lot of competition shooters that are very serious about it don't use accessories like that. They mod out their guns strictly for competition, and that works great for them. For me and for my purpose in 3-gun, I use a little bit more what I'd use in the real world. So moving on. Next is going to be my AR-15. So this is just a run-of-the-mill AR-15. There's really nothing special about this guy. This is my first AR-15 that I got when I didn't know anything about AR-15s. I traded a Mini 14 that I had for this AR-15 at the gun shop. It's very basic, as you can tell. There is no forward assist on it. There's no dust cover. It's, I mean, as basic as it gets. With this setup, I'm running a Vortex 1x6. It's just a basic Strike Eagle. And then I recently put on this Co-Witness Red Dot. I went to a competition up north of us, and it was a major competition. It was my first one ever. They had targets that were out, 100, 200 yards. And then right after that target, they would have ones that are very close, within 10 yards. So having to adjust the LPVO back and forth was time consuming. I had this extra red dot. It's a SIG Romeo MSR, and I threw that on a Daniel Defense offset mount, and it seems to work good as far as training goes. I shoot a match soon, so I will do some filming at that match and let you know how it works. I think that the offset's going to help quite a bit, and we're just doing a local match here at the gun club, so I'll be able to kind of sway the coordinator to help set up a little bit, so where I can at least test this out and let you know how it works. As far as anything else on the gun, there's a few different things that have been changed just to make it a little bit better. It came with a semi-automatic bolt carrier group. I put a full auto bolt carrier group from Palmetto in there, and there is an H2 weight buffer just to help with some of that recoil. And then I have an Ergo Grips grip on there, and taped up the front to give me a little bit more grip on there. I like these forward assists on here, our forward front end grip, whatever you call it, and it really helps me get a purchase point and get it back into my shoulder. So I run those on most of my guns. This again works a couple of jobs. So when I'm under nods to do passive aiming, I can passive aim through this 45-degree offset red dot. And then this guy is a Griffin Armament muzzle brake, and that guy I can thread my suppressor on, and it's a little bit longer than I'd like it, but still, again, it has two jobs like everything else. So that's my AR-15 that I use for 3-gun. We'll move into the shotgun. So this guy right here is the VR80, and when I first got it, it has been nothing but trouble. I could not get the thing to cycle different ammo correctly, and granted that the Rock Island Armory VR80 specifically says that there's about 250 round break-in period, quote unquote. This thing comes covered from the factory with a bunch of grease and nasty packing stuff. Getting that all out of there was the main issue. I also ported out the gas system in here, so I opened it up just a little bit. From the factory, it came with the lowest end of the spec as far as gas being released back into the gun. I opened that up, so now it's the max allotted amount that it can come from the factory. I just went ahead and took a drill bit, real simple, opened it up. By no means am I a gunsmith, but it worked for me, and that's what I did. Another issue that was messing with the reliability was the buffer tube inside the buffer spring there had all that nasty packing grease in there. When I was at a competition, a friend of mine who also had a VR80, he showed me how to open this tube up, and we were able to take out some of that grease and nasty stuff in there, oil it up with some fresh oil, and ever since then, between the gas, the break-in period, and the buffer system being all cleaned out, the thing is run like a charm. Now it runs any ammo that I put through it, and I've had really good luck with it. I have a Holosun. This is a 510C in the cool FDE color. This optic is, I really like it for the shotgun. That is because the ring in there, it's got the EOTech style ring in the reticle, and that helps for the bird shot pattern. It kind of gives you an idea of where that bird shot is going to be. Especially, I'm using the modified choke in there for most things, and the modified choke at about 20 yards is exactly the spread is exactly the size of that reticle, so it works really well for me. again, once the break-in period was done and a couple issues worked out, minor issues, it's been running great. It comes with the backup sites for it, so those have been helpful if I have any issues with the site. The first site that I had on there, it wasn't quite keeping up with the 12 gauge. It kept trying to reset after the impact, so these open sites were a lifesaver. And this guy also is pretty impressive. It comes with a giant 19 round magazine. This is what I use for competitions mostly. As you can see, it's quite large. So I barely have to reload. If I do have to reload, it's only once. I haven't quite gotten down the fancy technique of, you know, these guys with their Benellis and they're loading over the shoulder with a bunch of shells. That's a whole different animal. I'm not very good at that, nor do I intend to become very good at that. Again, my thought process is, if the off chance scenario where I'm using firearms, number one, shotgun is going to be one of my lower choices, and number two, I'm sure as heck not going to be carrying around a bunch of shells with me. I'm more likely to be carrying magazines, so I really prefer the magazine fed shotgun, and that works well with the open division. Now, all of this gear obviously I have to carry around with me, and I use a battle belt. This is a Blue Alpha battle belt. It's done me real well. As far as I have it set up, I'll kind of go in depth a little bit more in another video of how I have my battle belt set up. But I also use it for 3-gun. A lot of these guys have these high-speed belts with canted mag pouches. I don't have any of that. I train with what I'm going to use in the field per se. So I have it set up to where I can carry 2 pistol mags, Glock style pistol mags, 1 AR magazine. With the ARs being an open division, I run 40 round magazines, so it's not an issue. 2 magazines, 1 in the gun and 1 in the belt, seem to do good for me in most of the different courses. I then put one of the cheap taco style mag holders on the back here, and that can double is if I do need another AR-15 magazine, I can put it in here and it'll hold some retention. And then it's also large enough that I can get this big magazine in there and carry that if I need an extra magazine. Now, with these 19 round magazines, they also make 10 round and 5 round magazines for the shotgun. So depending on the course of fire, I'm probably going to be running a 19 round in the gun of the start of the match, and then I'm going to be running an extra 10 rounds with shotgun. Also, if I need, I have a dump pouch on the back here right under the med kit, and this guy can also fit another 19 round magazine in there. It's not the ideal way to carry the mag around. It kind of bounces around in there, but if I do need an abundance of shotgun magazines, I can carry one in here as well. And then this is just a Safariland holster that the Glock 34 goes in, and it was the duty holster where it had this strap across the top, and then also the normal Safariland retention. I took that strap off for competitions. It was pretty cumbersome to try to get both of those out in a timely manner. It was, you know, seconds add up with these competitions, so I figured one form of retention is good enough. I just clip it and it comes right out. So that's my 3-gun setup, guys. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you can find a local match. If you're interested in 3-gun, reach out anywhere. Look at Practice Score. It's an online website where you can find local matches. You can find national matches. A lot of info's on there about 3-gun. I'd highly recommend it. It's something that I've truly enjoyed getting into, and I look forward to the future of starting to progress my skills and just enjoy hanging out with all the fellas out there that shoot 3-gun. So anyways, I hope that was informative. I hope some of that was helpful. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It will really help me out in the long run and get this information out there, and I can start kind of growing my channel. So with that, you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.